He does look like Evan McMullin. And I know what his name is. Don't correct me because he's Evan McMullin. He does look like Caillou. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I want some more. I don't know if these are the words. I'm Evan. I want to run for Senate. Don't have a word that rhymes. I am a sea. I spook Evan. I don't know. It's true, though. All right, so here's the thing about his campaign. This guy is he is nothing more than a tool for people who want to punish other people that they dislike politically. When I look at his whole, I don't understand his candidacy. He's sort of he's a new Beto. He also comes from what did I say it was? The Trouser Loafers Club yesterday that Beto and John Ossoff and all those cats come from. They're the same people. Something loafers, yeah, I remember. So the whole issue with Utah Senate, as you know, Mike Lee, you've had Mitt Romney and the Romney people that don't like Mike Lee because they don't feel like they can control Mike Lee. That's why they don't like Mike Lee. There's no legitimate intellectual opposition to Mike Lee. Even if you're a Democrat, you can't really object to him because he's a constitutionalist. He's not a bomb thrower. He's just this is what the Constitution says. More so than I think even Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has tried to be a bomb thrower, has really tried that lately, the past couple of years. I kind of like Mike Lee's approach because he's just, no, this is what the Constitution says and it is what it is. He leaves the bomb throwing to the mean people like me. But I don't even know why he's even competitive with this guy who has also, by the way, here's something else important that you should know. McMullin has said that he's not going to caucus with either party in the Senate. Now, you know what that means when they say they're not going to caucus with either party? That means they're going to caucus with Democrats. Yep. There was a really big piece. I mean, he actually said that he's going to caucus with the CIA. It's not a party, Evan. The fascinating story with this shows that, and it was a deep dive into his campaign spending. Don't tell me what his name is. Someone else just said it. His name is McMullin. It's McMullin. Evan McMuffin's campaign has paid out over $1.6 million to Democrat firms despite calling himself an independent. This is true. He's worked with a lot of very, very... Well, he raises money with Act Blue. So what are you going to say? I mean, come on. His campaign legit uses Act Blue to solicit donations. That sounds totally constitutionally, doesn't it, Kane? Oh, sure. Much Constitution. He has, oh my goodness, he's used a lot of strictly far-left Democrat firms. And it brings up a lot of questions. I don't even think he's a Romney Republican because he's not a Republican. He's just happy to be a tool for Romney. Romney's using him, I think, as a way to try to control and try to humble Mike Lee because Mike Lee won't be controlled by the Romney crowd. That's what this is. This is power jockeying in Utah. Romney wants to be the kingmaker. He wants to be like how the cartels don't let you cross the border unless the cartels give you permission. Romney wants to be like the equivalent of that for Utah with politics. And Mike Lee has a lot of support. Mike Lee is a legitimate constitutionalist. McMullin, meanwhile, is a CIA operative. I don't even think he's a good one. When I just see the way he acts, I don't even think he's a good one unless his whole purpose is to just be an agitator. Now, if his purpose is just to be a public agitator, then I think he's doing a good job, particularly on the right. Because you have the Lincoln Groomer Project. What is it? Those people? Yeah, that guy who what's his face, who was reaching out to the boys, that group. It's a real group. I try not to pay attention to groomers and stuff like that. So I don't pay attention to a lot of what that group does because it's gross, or who they associate with. He may not even be there anymore. John Weaver or something like that. That guy. Those types of people, those types of who try to claim that they're Republicans but they're not. They like the McMullin because I really don't know what he brings to the table. He's spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Democrat firms. He's worked with Democrat operatives. He doesn't really bring anything to the table except his whole purpose seems to be and it seems to be because it is, he wants to tear down Mike Lee, who, by the way, is one of the nicest guys. He's just very, if you've never met Mike Lee, I've met him a couple of times. We're not best friends or anything. I don't, text him or anything like that, but he is, as much as you see in person, he's very well-spoken, and he's very thoughtful, and he's very, I've had discussions with him in the green room whenever I've been in DC, and I've had to do Fox every now and then. We've been in the green room at the same time. And there's always either it's a discussion over something constitutional or foreign policy. And he's very, very cerebral in his approach. He's very thoughtful. He's quiet, but he's purposeful. He's just a very even-keeled person. I don't know how to describe it. He's a calm, focused person. Some politicians that I've met are not like that at all. They're kind of a whirlwind. He's not. He knows where everything is, exactly where every issue is, where it's moving at all times. He's very thoughtful in his approach. And McMullin tries to paint him out as being this, I guess, extremist. They're trying to taint him with the association of Trump. And I don't know if you remember back when all of this happened with January 6th, and I'm going to say it again because it's important. Mike Lee was one of the loudest and calmest voices who was telling people the Constitution does not afford the vice president or anyone else to upend the results of the Electoral College. You can pause the certification of these votes, but you cannot you can't upend or stop the election. The only thing that you can do is to say, can we have a brief moratorium on certifying these votes so that we can confirm that they are legitimate? And the reason being, and again, I know I've talked to you about this before, but it's important because some people are just tuning in for the first time. Maybe they're unaware. States can control their elections. We all know this. This is a constant, it's an important part of the Constitution. States run their elections. However, for us in Texas, if you expect us in Texas or my fam in Missouri, to consider Wisconsin's votes, their electoral votes, you need to make sure that you're upholding your end of the bargain by preserving voter integrity. We want to make sure that people didn't cheat in order to get to your point where you're at. There's nothing wrong with that. The same way that you would expect votes from my state or votes from Missouri or elsewhere to also follow the guidelines that we had laid down and enshrined in the state constitution to protect voter integrity. It provides peace of mind for everyone in every state. And when that was upended due to the pandemic, there were a lot of those protections that are state constitutionally mandated that were ignored. Things like signature matching, checking to ensure that there were actually dates on the ballot sent in, a lot of stuff. And people had every right to question those areas and demand for an accounting of those specific votes from those areas that changed the agreement without modifying their state constitution. They changed the agreement. You can't demand that someone else incorporate your votes when you can't prove that they were legitimately cast. And I'm not saying even that for all states, because some counties did it differently. It was actually a very small number. And one of the things that Lee had brought up was that he didn't even think it was going to change the outcome of the election. However, it's important precedent, which I agree with. That's all he ever said. And people are out there acting like he was going to set fire to the dais and he was just going to scuttle the entire election. And that is it's a lie and it's malicious. And you have some of these people on the right. And for all their talk about religion and faith, it's really disappointing to see people in Utah who wrap themselves in the veneer of it really act completely contrary to the faith that they claim when casting aspersions on the character of Mike Lee and others. I mean, completely impugning someone else's character simply because you can't control what they're doing. It needs to be said, so I'll say it. Mike Lee's he's nice and he's focused. He's too focused on his job and the Constitution. So that's the whole purpose of Evan McMuffin's candidacy. The guy's he pays Democrat firms. He's a CIA dude. He pretends that he's an independent when he's absolutely not. I mean, you have the Democrat Party in Utah that endorsed him. They're not even running someone. That tells you everything that you need to know because he's going to be their guy. He's not going to caucus with Republicans. He's already said that. He would be a reliable vote for Democrats. So why anyone would even consider this guy, it's a joke. And Mitt Romney just completely refusing to support someone like Mike Lee, who I think is everything that Romney has ever wanted to be. I think that's jealousy. I think it's pettiness. And I think he's still mad over 2012 and he needs to get over it because it's unfair and frankly a betrayal of the principles he claims to hold to sacrifice the security of the nation for his ego.